Welcome to week 12 from Barcelona.
On my blog, Daily Creatives, link in the description below, the post for this week was all about daily routines, how we are doing at setting them up during this travel experience. First, I will say it has not been easy. Catering to the needs of 4 strong people who have different wants at different times of the day. Becoming a digital nomad was a dream of mine, and to some degree for my husband and my son. But my daughter was perfectly happy back home at her school with her friends. When we first landed in Barcelona, there was so much adrenaline. After the first long-haul flight of our trip,
We were really happy to finally be underway.
then we got here and we had jet lag to contend with. And some of us took a lot longer to recover than others. My initial concern was to set up a good eating schedule or a feeding schedule for us all. First thing, I had to learn how to make coffee in a Spanish-style machine that sits on the stovetop. Back home, we're used to grinding the coffee fresh, that's no problem, putting it into a drip machine, pressing start, and walking away. A few minutes later, having fresh coffee. That actually goes into a thermos and can sit for an hour or more as we slowly drink the whole pot. So how this thing works. The bottom of the pot is where the water goes, just up to the vent hole. Then the basket drops in place and is filled with coffee. Then the top part is screwed on tight. The whole thing is put on the stove until the heat pulls the coffee up from the bottom through to the top. I know it is done when it stops making that percolating sound. This makes a rather strong coffee, so I add boiling water from the kettle, which makes more of an Americano style. Then I add whole milk, because I can't seem to find the coconut milk I use back home. I have found that a store called Corte Inglés, they actually have a food floor, is my favorite, with Carrefour close second. Corte Inglés has more imported and specialty foods, but Carrefour is very convenient. It's just up Rambla and it's easy to get to. However, both of them require a walk of more than 1 kilometer each way. So I can only buy what I can carry, unless I can convince someone to come and help me do the shopping. Other than the weight of the food and the logistics of getting it, I quickly realized that there was a bit of a cost problem, something I hadn't anticipated, which was the weakening of the Canadian dollar against the euro. I couldn't have expected that. I couldn't have predicted it. So in other words, it wasn't something I'd planned for. We just had to make adjustments to the budget as we went. Once I was able to figure out where all the food was that I wanted and needed, and get it all home with all the logistics, I started cooking and that felt great. But I quickly realized we don't have an oven. I'm not sure how I missed that in the Airbnb listing. So we've had to adapt because not having an oven is something I didn't realize quite how much I would miss. What I did know about this domestic situation is there was not going to be a dryer that went along with the washing machine. Traditionally here, clothes, especially in the inner city, the clothes get put out on the line. So I end up doing lots of small loads, which is fine because the washing machine is quite small, quite frequently, every couple of days. In fact, there's very few days where the drying lines and the racks are empty. Just another one of those things to get used to about urban living. One of the drying racks is meant to go out on the balcony. It is sized perfectly for the little balcony that sits off the front of our apartment. But I keep it inside the flat because I don't like the smells that come from the city. The smells of the traffic fumes, from people walking by smoking, from various cooking that goes on very close to us. Particularly don't like that penetrating the cotton clothes, the sheets, and the towels. Which leads me to the neighborhood we are living in. We are in the middle of it all here in Port Val. We have the marina, we're close to the beach, which means we're not the only ones that enjoy this kind of location. This Gothic quarter of Barcelona is a very old part of the city. The buildings are extremely close together and they're very old. Back home, we're used to living in the suburbs of Vancouver. We have a big yard with a high degree of privacy. While Sting was here, my nephew from Calgary, we took advantage of our location by getting up before the sun one morning. Once over at Barceloneta Beach, we realized we were not the only ones. Some people were doing yoga, others were meditating, There was even a group taking an early morning swim. I had no idea how well used the beach was at that time of the morning. We have really enjoyed being able to have the time to just be. This has been a treasured part of our life here in Barcelona. We are not rushed. We can just take the time to soak it all in. The pace of life here is very different. It's been easy to adjust. These warm and sunny days on the Mediterranean, they are only cooling ever so slightly as we move into fall. This is something that's been very, very nice because back home we find that once fall kicks in, the temperatures just drop right away. They may bounce back just a little bit and we get a little bit of a reprieve as fall turns into winter. This has been really nice. We went to the beach as recently as 2 days ago.
Before I sign off for this week, here's a little tour. Front entryway, just as seen in the Airbnb description. Our eating area, seats 6. And then into the kitchen where I was making coffee earlier. Gas stove, had to get a little bit used to that. And the microwave oven, where the missing oven should be. Nice seating leather couch that pulls out. Can sleep another 2 people technically, and then the desk that Fisher has co-opted for his workspace, and a nice TV. Then into the master bedroom, which is right off of the living room, but the walls are all concrete, so you cannot hear a thing once you close yourself off in this room. And massive closet. One more thing for this week, and that is the packing list that I created. This has been something, it's taken a long time to develop, and I'm pleased to share it with you. Download from the link in my description.
So thank you for watching, and see you next time for more creative wondering.